The Full Melt Show is intended for a mature audience. It contains adult themes, adult content, and sometimes adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
The Full Melt.
I tell you what, you working for Marvel, the Super Bowl commercial, did you get a lot of reaction to that Super Bowl commercial?
What Super Bowl commercial?
Oh, you know what? My mistake.
You're as crazy as the people on Twitter.
Right.
I'm not Lawrence Fishburne.
That's my fault. I know that. That was my fault. My mistake. You know what?
We don't all look alike.
Fuck, you're exactly
we may be
right.
all black and famous.
You
but
are
we all don't
guilty.
look alike.
I am guilty.
Next question.
I am guilty.
He thought you were Bob Dylan.
Right. That's right.
You're the entertainment reporter.
I know. I'm telling
You're the
you.
entertainment reporter
Right.
for this station.
Flog.
And you don't know the difference between
I
me and
know.
Lawrence Fishburne.
My mistake. My mistake. I apologize. Really, my big mistake. Let's talk
That
about.
must be a very short line for your job
I'll
outside
say.
there.
No, it probably would not be hard to get another person to sit right here. Let's talk about RoboCop.
Oh, hell no. Really? Really?
I apologize.
I'm the other guy. I'm the other guy. The other one. What's in your wallet?
Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
exactly right.
There's more than one black guy doing a commercial.
There it is. No question about that.
I'm the what's in your wallet black guy.
Okay.
He's the car black guy.
There it is.
Morgan Freeman is the other credit card black guy. You only hear his voice though, so you probably won't confuse him with Lawrence Fishburne.
You're 100% right.
Are you high? What are you talking about?
It's the Full Melt.
Give me a break. The Full Melt Show. A marijuana discussion about news, culture, politics, and lifestyle. FullMelt.com. Toll free. 844-420-TALK. 844-420-TALK.
Hey, if I was a regular listener to this show, like I hope you are, I'd be going like, hey, you varied it up. Well, something's different there. What are you doing? Well, let me just explain. You see, there's this piece, the piece that you just heard, aired on Fox News, their KTLA station, back, 8 months, 10 months ago or so. Might have been a year and 10, I don't know, in the last year or so. And you heard me mention on the program yesterday, if you heard yesterday's program with the Blue Line Protection Group out in Denver, Colorado, that I'm not a regular. I consume a lot of television, a lot of it. I told you I was a child of the 80s. I want my MTV, that kind of thing. So I'm always buzzing all over the TV, checking stuff out, seeing what's being reflected back to us. Because much of it's entertaining. Some of it's less than entertaining. A lot of competition makes it more entertaining, though. And then I told you that I'm not a big consumer of the Fox News, and they aren't the only one. I started with MSNBC. I don't listen to a lot of MSNBC. So you can put away the argument about conservative or liberal because MSNBC is extremely progressive, very liberal, not well rated. I think it's just a matter of, I don't know if it's the programming combination between Microsoft or the deal between Microsoft and NBC, or if it's their content. I don't know. I like a lot of their content. I just don't seem to be over there watching it all the time. Same thing with Fox, but Fox has a little bit of a different thing attached. And the thing that I played at the front of the show there, that little piece, embarrassing, the morning show guy over there at Fox, he's the entertainment reporter, live via satellite to promote the RoboCop movie, and he's completely mistaking him for Lawrence Fishburne. Come on. Really? I mean, he couldn't have said it better himself. Really? Really? You're going to make that mistake? I don't think I've ever done that on my show. You don't see a lot of black TV people on the Fox News. And I think they've got some definite bias reporting issues. I think they're extremely right-wing. I think they cater to the no-brain populace, if you ask me. I mean, this is just my personal opinion. And I'm not blasting the Fox. I'm just telling you why I don't listen to the Fox TV news. And that's why. That's an example of why I don't, because I don't consider them news. If you can't even figure out the interview that you're conducting, I don't care if it is the entertainment section of your programming. You don't make the mistake of obviously. I mean, that's a completely white thing, and it's so racist. Samuel Jackson is not Lawrence Fishburne. If you look at them on the TV monitor, you can clearly tell which one's which. This guy was incapable of making that distinction. And so I don't find them that credible. Now, that had nothing to do with marijuana. It had more to do with the Super Bowl and all that stuff, and the interview and the Lawrence Fishburne commercial and the Samuel Jackson confusion. I mean, the whole thing is so comical. I'll tell you, I played about 1 minute and 20 seconds worth of audio there. That went on painfully for 4.5 minutes. Painfully. I mean, Samuel Jackson owned this TV reporter by the time the segment was done, and I don't think they talked much about RoboCop. Really. So, now tying this back to the marijuana thing. Fox News played, and I'll start to play this for you. And I better get to it because I'm going to run into the commercial break if I don't. This is a piece about Florida medical marijuana. And it's this is on the national broadcast. I think the other one was a local broadcast. This is the national Fox News reporter on the morning show. It's the Fox Morning Show. Talking to the Attorney General of the state of Florida about the medical marijuana bill. I'll just let it play.
23 states and the District of Columbia have passed laws allowing medical marijuana, but the Sunshine State's Attorney General is saying that measure would, quote, make Florida one of the most lenient medical marijuana states. Physicians could authorize marijuana for anything, anytime, to anyone of any age. The measure up for a vote this November as a referendum. It's got to get 60%. So what are the risks? Joining us right now is Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi. Good morning to you, Pam.
Good morning.
Okay, so the way it works with this kind of constitutional referendum, you need 60% of the people down in Florida to say yes. Right now, we've got the latest poll. It's close to that. 56% are supporting it, about a third against, and about 13% still haven't figured out which side of it they're on. Now, I know you, on the other hand, your opponent is for it. You, on the other hand, have some serious concerns about it, don't you?
I do, and that's why, Steve, that's why I challenged the ballot language in front of the Supreme Court.
Okay, so let's just stop this right here and explain to you that there's been a challenge by the Attorney General of the state of Florida over the ballot language of the medical marijuana petition that's currently circulating. So, I mean, that's the underlying thing here. But it gets better. It gets way, way better.
Because we all know the ballot language is so very limited. So what I encourage all Floridians to do is read the entire amendment before voting for this. We don't want there to be unintended consequences. Let me start off. Nobody wants to hurt anyone who needs this for compassionate care.
Right.
No one wants to hurt. There's a bug in my thing. No one wants to hurt anyone who truly is in a wheelchair who needs this. But there could be...
Okay, wait a minute. This really falls back to the underlying thing about the argument against medical marijuana. That somehow you need to be in a wheelchair or have some physical description that you can see, that you can tell that this guy or this girl or this child is in need of medical marijuana. And that's just so blatantly false. Again, why I don't watch the Fox News. It's blatantly, this is like saying you can tell somebody who's got tuberculosis coming down the street. You got to stay away from the guy with the TB. You might catch the tuberculosis. You don't want that. You'll never get rid of that thing. It might kill you. You can't tell the people with tuberculosis. You can't, and I'm not saying tuberculosis has anything to do with medical marijuana. I'm just talking about it's tantamount to saying I can identify a sick person from across the room. And this is just such fallacious BS. It burns my fuse to the explosion point. I've heard this argument again and again in state after state after state, including our own here in Michigan. I got a senator here, Rick Jones, a good friend of Rick Jones. I'll back that up. I'm not a good friend of Rick Jones. Senator Rick Jones, I guess I have a good relationship with him. And he's been on this program before. Not the Daily Show, back when we were doing just a weekly show. But the senator would say the same thing. Hey, I'm not against anybody to have medical marijuana if and as long as you're on your deathbed. And that's not the vast description of the people who are in need of or who qualify for such a thing. I'm going to keep playing.
Many unintended consequences. And I think people may try to take advantage of that. I know they will. And it could go far beyond what is intended. You know, former Governor Jeb Bush came out against it. Multiple people have. And
okay, who's the multiple people? Because if Jeb Bush is the only guy, I'm just going to, again, detract.
Most recently, 7 former Supreme Court justices wrote a very strong opinion why this should not be in our Florida Constitution.
Sure. Okay, wait a minute. Let's just get this straight. Don't be putting a bigger face on this than it really is. This is so much blown up BS, really. Let's distinguish the Florida State Supreme Court from the United States Supreme Court. Because none of those people on that court, and that's kind of how you identify them. Oh, the Supreme Court. 7 former Supreme... No. You're talking about the Florida Supreme Court. Get it right.
Because, Steve, once it's in our Florida Constitution, it's my job to defend it, and that's what I'll do.
Right. Well, one of the worries is, the people who are against this, is it's going to make it easier for people to get, in particular kids, to get marijuana. And we've seen in other states where they have medical marijuana laws, they'll...
Okay, again, the kids argument. The way to keep pot out of kids' hands is to regulate. Drug dealers on the street corner do not card kids. In fact, it's just another sale to them. The people in dispensaries or that handle medical marijuana make sure that the person receiving it is allowed to have it. A check.
Go up to these dispensaries and they'll talk the guy behind the counter into, you know, it really hurts when I do this. Well, then here's your pot prescription.
Okay, well, I got to stop it there again, and I'm going to hit the break here. I'm going to stop the other programming. Hang on a second. Because this is too important. I have to stop. Hang on a second. Here we go. So, back to the thing. Because we were going to roll into commercial break, and I just couldn't let it happen. This business...
not everybody...
They're talking about
who really, truly needs it, rather, people...
So he's saying that, you go into, he's using the example of perhaps California where they have a more, vague thing about medical marijuana, about who's... I think in California, you have to have your doctor's certification, and then you can go into a place to get your card. I'm just thinking that this is where he's pointing to, is the California thing, where it is a little more easy to get access to medical marijuana for just about anything. And that's what he's referring to. But it's certainly not the norm around the country at all. In fact, I think California is the only example like that.
Who need it should get it, but the people who don't need it shouldn't.
You just summarized it beautifully, and that's our exact concern, that children can have access to this. Let me tell you, 4 years ago in Florida, we were the pill mill capital of the country. Of the top 100 oxycodone dispensers, these are doctors, Steve, in the entire country, 98 of them lived in Florida. Thanks to our legislative efforts, we fought long and hard. Now we're down to 0.
Okay, I'm just going to say this, that the oxycodone problem and the problem with prescription opiates is a national problem, and it's tied to heroin. It's not tied to anything about medical marijuana. Let's just get that straight.
Oxycodone deaths have dropped dramatically, and we don't want this to turn around to a pill mill opening on every corner that's dispensing pot instead of prescription drugs. And that's why these justices, this is a great opinion by 7 former Supreme Court justices. They believe it's broad, vague, and they believe it would cause general use. They're frightened about the immunity that it could give anyone who dispenses it.
Right. Oh, shudder the thought that people might be immune from having to go to jail or to be otherwise punished for having anything to do with marijuana or cannabis. Come on.
And that the age requirement, that children could access this. Everything we've done in Florida, you've heard, you and I have talked about this horrible synthetic drug problem.
That's right.
The spices, it's really heroin. Everything we've done to try to put these bad guys out.
No, wait. They're talking about the spice. The fake marijuana sold in gas stations and other unsavory places as a marijuana substitute. It's really potpourri sprayed with, if you look at the ingredients, synthetic cannabinoids. And the place that these synthetic cannabinoids came from is the prohibition on cannabis. Because the guy that actually discovered how to manufacture these synthetic cannabinoids applied for a research permit to NIDA and the DEA and the FDA, and they said no. If you want to do some research on a cannabinoid, you're going to have to manufacture it in the lab. And so he did. And then that got out, and then the people in the illegal market said, oh, here's some synthetic cannabinoids. We'll just spray some potpourri with it, sell it in little baggies at the local gas station or some little shop, some little trinket place, and, that'll be all good. We'll make a bunch of money that way. Well, many of these synthetic cannabinoids manufactured in the laboratory do cause issues all by themselves because they're not part of the whole plant, and they certainly aren't natural in any way. And they've caused a lot of problems with people. But she just called them on the Fox National newscast. The Attorney General of the state of Florida just called spice heroin. I mean, these are completely different types of drugs. You've never found heroin in a spice packet. And I'm not saying spice is a good thing. I think the whole idea of having this fake marijuana stuff isn't a good thing. You don't know what it is. You don't know what's in it. It clearly is labeled not for human consumption. Don't buy it. And if you find it, report it. That's just the way that should be. But it isn't heroin. And stop trying to bring heroin into the medical marijuana argument.
Out of business, that now we could have a pot clinic. And Department of Health, their numbers, they estimate that there could be 1,800 pot shops open within our state. And once this is embedded, and this is another the problem the justices have,
yes.
Once this is in our Florida Constitution,
it's there.
It's going to be very difficult to fix the flaws.
All right.
And again, it's my duty to defend it.
Indeed it is, and that's why you're here talking about your concerns. All right, the Attorney General for the great state of Florida, Pat Bondi. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I just don't get where what was that whole talk and discussion about? It was just so medical marijuana, bad. Police, good. I mean, that's the message there. Now, tied to this very video that I'm talking about, and I have to assume, because they did not label the video as to whether it came out today or yesterday or the other day, but they tied that video to this story that popped up. I saw it just labeled yesterday, talking about how the black farmers in Florida are saying foul. And we'll talk to a person in the news about that coming up next on the program. Don't go away.
You're getting the full melt.
You know, it's not easy out there, but it can be easier. And when it comes to medical marijuana in Michigan and chronic pain management, Dr. Bob Townsend, renowned for his patient advocacy and deep understanding of how patients and medical marijuana certifications fit together, makes it his hallmark to educate and provide the best holistic treatment for your condition. His knowledgeable staff makes you feel warm and welcome, and Dr. Bob makes you feel well. With locations across the state in Cadillac and Gaylord, Kalamazoo, Marquette, Mount Pleasant, Muskegon, Saginaw, Traverse City, you can't beat the convenience and feeling you get knowing you have someone on your side that cares. Denali Healthcare is on the web at denalihealthcaremi.com. Get answers to your holistic health questions or schedule an appointment now by calling 989-339-4464. Chronic pain management and holistic health answers is what they do. It's all they do. DenaliHealthcareMI.com. Get your certification and peace of mind now by making an appointment with Dr. Bob Townsend at 989-339-4464.
Got something to hide? Canalock offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Canalock is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Canalock is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at Canalock.com. Visit Canalock.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
They're parasites. They've got no contribution to this society. They're preying on our community and our kids. And it's going to end badly.
We've got exactly $100,000 in cash in the back of this car. I bet there's guys right there in that prison for doing just what we're about to do.
I want the Breckenridge Cannabis Club to be a household name.
This is us pioneering a new industry.
He's going after every resort town in Colorado. His plan is brilliant.
This is a big boy operation now.
We are not the Amsterdam of the Rockies. We're Breckenridge.
Absolutely unbelievable to us that this has happened so quickly.
That's when the town erupted.
All hell can break loose.
I think we have an image to protect.
The powerful elite has definitely put the pressure on.
Everyone is playing everyone.
They're going to have a target painted on their back.
That is a real threat.
There's $2 billion to be had next year. I plan to take more than my fair share.
High Profits, Sunday night at 10 Eastern on CNN.
Does your dog or cat suffer with joint disorders, arthritis, anxiety, cancer, chronic pain, or other ailments? Hemp or cannabis-based medicinal products are now legal. Why should your pets go without the same options that we have available? Try Satibis, a daily hemp oil with CBD. Satibis is quality inspected and made in the USA. Easy-to-use drops are applied directly to your pet's food. For your pet's wellness, try Satibis drops. Ask for Satibis at your local pet store or learn more at petpain.com.
With this warmer weather, I get more active. Headaches and pains keep me from doing things I enjoy, like golfing and working outside my yard. Toledo Hemp Center's new location, 1415 Sylvania Avenue, has shown me there is an alternative to pharmaceutical drugs. I use CBD, cannabidiol, infused hemp lotions, oral sprays, and topical oils. Thank you, Toledo Hemp Center, for helping me restore and maintain my health with no side effects and no high. Find out more at ToledoHempCenter.com.
Hey, this is Tommy Chong, and you're listening to the Full Melt Show on... What are you on, man?
It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
Radio show.
So welcome back to the program. You can hear us here Monday through Friday from 7 until 8 p.m. Eastern Time. If you get a chance, like us on Facebook, like us on Twitter. There are links at the top of the page. And if you also have an opportunity, click through the Spreaker site, like us on Spreaker, and follow us there as well. Listen, there's been a story in the news today, actually came out yesterday, and this says about black farmers say Florida's medical marijuana law shuts them out. And this is an article published in a political blog. It says black farmers in Florida say they're being shut out from the state's emerging medical marijuana trade and are pushing for changes in the law that would let them break into the limited legal pot market. Though Sunshine State voters last fall rejected a broad medical marijuana ballot proposal, a more narrow measure, and they're talking about Senate Bill 1030 there, was signed by Governor Rick Scott nearly a year ago, called the Compassionate Medical Medical Cannabis Act of 2014. It allows some nurseries to grow low THC pot and distribute to qualified patients suffering from cancer, seizures, and muscle spasms. So now the story, this is again a Fox News story. Fox reported on this yesterday. And so I wanted to bring the person that was mentioned in the article on the program to talk about it. It's Florida Black Farmers and Agriculturists Association President Howard Gunn, Jr. Howard, welcome to the program.
Hey, thank you. Thank you very much. Good evening.
So can you tell us what your objection is? And it seems like it's over a very minimal piece of the language that's in the current medical marijuana law, not the one that's coming up on the ballot, correct?
Right, the one that is in effect now, the 1030, the Senate Bill 1030.
Now, are they looking at modifying this?
Well, we thought they would. We was there on the Senate floor, and we thought that some of the senators would look at it and reconsider some of the decisions that was made earlier. However, the Senate left the chamber before they could get anything passed.
Oh, no.
So
it's one of those.
Back to the original 1030.
Some foot dragging. It's politics. It's what happens everywhere.
Exactly.
Can you tell us how black farmers are shut out from the current medical marijuana law?
Well, first of all, 30 years, some of the requirements that they're saying you must meet these requirements, 30 years of a nurseryman license, a horticulture nurseryman license, as well as have a license to grow over 400,000 plants. 30 years of nurseryman license basically are those who have had nurseries probably in their families for some time, and now they're at an age where they can say they do qualify.
Can you just repeat that plant number, that plant count for me?
Yeah, a license that had 400,000 plants.
I have never heard of such a large license. I honestly have not, but go ahead.
Yeah, and that's ridiculous. If you're a farmer or a grower, 80,000 seeds you can get out of one bag of corn seeds, and you're planting 5 to 6 acres of corn, that would give you over 800,000 plants. So that shouldn't be a problem, but the farmers or growers, the language is not there. It's strictly for nurserymans.
So it's the nurseries that have been granted currently the permission to grow medical marijuana, given a license and given this requirement fulfillment.
That is correct.
Now, and you're saying that the black farmers historically in Florida have not been involved in the nursery market, mostly because of...
Oh, well, if you look back 30 years ago and you look back into the Pickford 1 and the Pickford 2 lawsuit that was filed against the USDA for discriminatory practices, you understand that most of the farmers dealing with that, they couldn't get the farm loans of any type, not only for nurserymen, but just in general. The lawsuit was settled, however, but it still did not give back the land that was taken or pay for the equipment that was repossessed. So there was still problems there. So you're telling us 30 years ago we should have been involved with this, or even before, when we was fighting another lawsuit with the USDA.
So can you go into this USDA thing a little bit more? Because it seems like some underpinning for what your argument is, and I don't think people are familiar with this lawsuit or how long ago that the suit that you're referring to occurred.
Well, 30 years ago, roughly 30 years ago, even before then, there was discriminatory practices. But it was recognized by the USDA from Pickford, by a gentleman named Pickford, that filed his first claim against the USDA for not allowing or for not giving loans that he knew that he was qualified to receive. Okay? And he filed against the USDA, and after that opened a can of worms, and others filed as well. And that's when the USDA realized that there were some discriminatory practices by some of the agents in some of the FSA offices, the farm service agencies.
Okay, so now when was this suit? When does this suit originate from? What year? Do you know?
It's around the 80s. I don't have definite information. It's 1980s. If you go back 30 years from now, you can pick that up. 80, 79, 80, 85, all the way up through the 2000 year. President Obama finally signed off on it for $1.3 billion settlement that was recently settled.
So there was discriminatory practices that were keeping black people from getting involved in farming in general, but specifically in the nursing industry.
Well, not specifically, just in farming in general.
I see.
Yeah.
And so there were people that applied for loans or grants or other assistance in farming in the black community that were denied access, where similar applicants of other races were granted them.
A proven fact. The settlement proves that.
Okay. So it's this prejudice that kept you from being able to be involved long term in the industry. I think it seems like the legitimacy behind such a requirement would be to make sure that you're dealing with legitimate people in the agriculture industry and not just Johnny Come-alongs, Mr. Medical Marijuana grower or Mr. Ganja guy that just wanted to start a farm and profit in this industry. Seems like that's where they were going.
Well, I mean, it goes beyond that. I mean, really, we're not trying to open it up for everybody. I mean, everybody's not going to want to grow, and everybody's not going to be financially equipped to grow.
Right.
And we have to understand also that the licensing process is very expensive. We're talking roughly by the time the lawyers are on board and the application is $150,000, and that's not to say you will even get the license. It's just the fee for the application. Then your lawyers are involved with the red tape that is involved. And you're looking at $250,000 just to get the application process or get it there.
$250,000.
Sure, roughly, and it could be more than that. The application itself is $150,000.
Of the $1.3 billion, that's the number you quoted, right?
That's correct.
For the settlement, for the people that were able to settle out. Do you think that they would have enough money to go through this application process, or do they even have?
Understand that most of the farmers that settle out, the payout, the class action lawsuit, most of them receive only $50,000.
Oh, each, because it was a class action suit.
Right.
So this is nowhere in close to being able to get into this industry, given even the settlement.
Oh, definitely not. The settlement would have nothing to do with that. Definitely. And there's still litigants out there that's going back before the Supreme Court to petition again because they didn't go with the class action lawsuit. They went with an independent lawsuit.
Oh, wow.
And that was thrown out. So there's a lot more that goes in with that USDA discrimination bill law. So, but no, let's go back to the actual application and what is required after you qualify to become a potential licensee.
Now
you're talking about more and more money now because there's a whole lot more there besides the requirements. There's another stipulation where finances is involved.
Okay, and that restricts you how?
Well, it restricts you if you can't come up with the money. Unless
sure.
you have some backers that are big enough. But, this is not just a black farmer's issue. This is a small farmer as well.
I think so.
Oh, most definitely.
Now,
we're talking about farmers and growers who can grow anything. Marijuana is a weed. It's easy to grow. It's probably one of the easiest crops to grow.
I would say that it's not a weed, it's an herb.
Well, the term weed, that's what we call it. But, it grows like a weed.
It does grow
and
like a weed.
Is any plant that is growing where it's not wanted to be. That's what classifies a weed.
Now, so I guess I have to ask you this. Do you know of anybody, are there current examples that you can count on each hand of people that you know that are in the black community who, or even in the small farming community, who would have the resources to, make application were it not for this stipulation about having a 30-year history in the nursery industry?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, when you're looking at a multi-billion-dollar operation, I think people will do what is necessary in order to qualify to receive some of the funding, as well as provide the service that the children and others need for the benefit of medical marijuana.
Do you think that they did this intentionally so that this was just a favor granted to people in the existing agriculture industry, especially in nurseries?
Well, you want to think positive. You don't want to think negative. But, be realistically thinking. We have to realize and look at what it is. You got 5 big nurserymen probably will end up doing all of Florida. 5 in each region. There's one nurseryman in each region. Now, you can look at this. You don't take rocket scientists to figure this out. They are the only ones that qualified. They are the only one that will actually be selected. They're the only one that will actually have, skin in the game and receive the funding out of 5 people.
So you say that the amendment to the bills has died currently. At least they've left their current legislative session for the summer.
Dead.
Oh, it's dead completely.
They're talking about next session. And what they're thinking about, and what I've heard and what I've read, is that they want to bring you on possibly during next session where they would actually hear the amendments and perhaps vote you in, and you might have another chance at a license. But you got to remember, by that time, the horse is out of the gate.
Well, sure. I wonder if anybody stopped to think that, the restriction on medical marijuana, the way the governor signed this existing law bill into law, really stipulates that it's very low THC. I would even argue that the requirements are so strict and stringent that the marijuana being grown isn't really even marijuana by its normal term. It's really hemp, isn't it?
Well, no. When you say hemp, you're talking about the plant itself that is used for industrial purposes. You're talking about the structure, the cellulose, and the type of material that the plant actually possesses.
Well, not necessarily.
The
cannabis sativa is what is classified as both hemp and marijuana.
Right, but you don't get the effects from the structural part of the plant as you would from the bud or from the flower.
Correct, but there are breeds of cannabis that are very heavy in CBD, cannabidiol.
Oh yeah, oh sure,
and very low in THC, which classifies under the federal definition as hemp.
That's right. Well, and that's bred in and out. I mean, you can restrict that, or you can promote that.
Do you think there would be an angle under the industrial hemp idea that the federal government has recently proposed in way of, the Kentucky bill? There's a Kentucky bill that's gone through that they're actually practicing now. They're actually issuing licenses from the DEA to grow hemp in Kentucky. Do you think there might be a backdoor way around the legislature with this?
Well, hemp will come to Florida. We know that's coming if it's not already here. I haven't done a lot of work on that, but we know that hemp will be here, and there will be farmers growing hemp. But again, we haven't gotten there.
I'm just wondering if that's not a good backdoor alley in case the legislature is preventing the smaller farmers or the black growers by edict, by qualification in the law that gives you a bar that you can't meet. In history's timeline.
Well, yeah. That would be nice, but we want to be at the table on this one. We don't even want to look at the hemp right now. We want to be at the table by all means necessary.
How long has the medical marijuana law been in effect in Florida?
What is it, a year?
About a year now.
Yeah.
And so currently, and this was really adapted for people with seizures, particularly children, yes?
That's correct.
And how many do you know of any children receiving cannabidiol or CBD treatments for seizure disorders in your state currently?
No, not currently. I don't know. I couldn't give you that information.
I can tell you it's probably none, unless they're doing it in a way that would otherwise violate the law.
Exactly.
Because it means they would have to get it from a producer or a grower out of state, and then you get into the whole interstate transportation thing, et cetera.
Exactly.
How important is this issue to you as an association?
Well, it's important to me as a citizen of the state of Florida, as it relates to fairness and being equitable, doing things that are right, including all of the citizens of the state, and then providing a service that is going to benefit those who are needed the most, who needs the medicine. We're holding up a lot of stuff here, and there are kids that actually need this medicine.
Well, and I would argue there are probably adults that need that medicine.
Well, I mean, I say kids because that's what it was originally for. But yes, the adults as well.
Where do you see this going now that this has died in the legislature? When's the next legislative session begin? Do you know?
Well, they're going to call them back, but who knows? I really don't know. I can't speak on that right now. But, we're positioning ourselves for the 30-year or whatever it takes. We're hoping for the best, but we are preparing for the worst.
So in the instance of the worst, what do you do?
Well, we have some plans out there that we have some things there that I don't want to share that with anyone at this point.
Keep it close to the vest. So
element of surprise is always the best element when it comes to not letting everybody know what the left hand and right hand is doing.
So listen, we're getting ready to go to break. We're talking with Black Farmers Association in Florida, Agriculturist Association President Howard Gunn Jr. Did I get that right?
That's correct.
And I wanted to ask you after the break about, and maybe you can think about it during the break, your absolution about whether or not you'd support the current medical marijuana initiative that's in place. So hang on, Howard. We'll go to break, and we'll come right back and answer that question after this.
Okay, sure.
It started with Weed 1.
Some have called it a watershed moment.
Then came Weed 2.
It's absurd that we would have to do this to get medicine.
Now Dr. Sanjay Gupta is at it again, and he's reaching higher than ever with Weed 3.
I never thought I would be smoking weed in the hospital.
The movement behind it.
We demand this plant go through the process of the FDA.
The radical research.
I have to say I'm kind of stunned.
Weed 3, the marijuana revolution.
Each week, Pot Pitch takes a look at different medical or legal pot business as they attempt to seek investment capital and partners in order to take their business to the next level. What do investors like?
And which entrepreneurs are shown the door?
Real venture capitalists, smart entrepreneurs, and exciting business models in a brand new industry. Cannabis. Pot Pitch. Find out what this new marijuana industry will look like and who its players will be. Real deals, real people, real decisions. Pot Pitch at potpitch.com and featured on the Full Melt Radio Show.
Got something to hide? Canalock offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Canalock is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Canalock is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at canalock.com. Visit canalock.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
Does your dog or cat suffer with joint disorders, arthritis, anxiety, cancer, chronic pain, or other ailments? Hemp or cannabis-based medicinal products are now legal. Why should your pets go without the same options that we have available? Try Satibis, a daily hemp oil with CBD. Satibis is quality inspected and made in the USA. Easy-to-use drops are applied directly to your pet's food. For your pet's wellness, try Satibis drops. Ask for Satibis at your local pet store or learn more at petpain.com.
With this warmer weather, I get more active. Headaches and pains keep me from doing things I enjoy, like golfing and working outside my yard. Toledo Hemp Center's new location, 1415 Sylvania Avenue, has shown me there is an alternative to pharmaceutical drugs. I use CBD, cannabidiol, infused hemp lotions, oral sprays, and topical oils. Thank you, Toledo Hemp Center, for helping me restore and maintain my health with no side effects and no high. Find out more at ToledoHempCenter.com.
It's the Full Melt. radio show. So what we're talking about is medical marijuana in Florida. And the Black Farmers Association, kind of objecting to the current medical marijuana law because it has some effect of kind of locking them out. And so we've been talking this hour with Florida Black Farmers and Agriculturists Association President Howard Gunn, Jr. Welcome back to the program, Howard.
Hey, welcome back. Hey, thank you.
So, I was asking you before the break, would you support the current legislation that's being proposed by ballot initiative on recreational marijuana and medical marijuana?
I don't really support the recreational marijuana. That's not me. I don't do that. But the medical part of it, sure.
So really, there's no recreational bill in place right now. There's nobody looking to try and do that there. Just a medical marijuana thing.
Just a medical marijuana.
And you say you'd support that?
Oh, definitely.
Do you think that that there is a good chance of getting that done, just in your personal opinion?
I think so. I think it will be done. I mean, yes, definitely. I think so.
You guys tried to do this last year, was it last year or the year before?
Last year, yeah. We just fell short a few votes, but I think by this time a little bit more, people don't come out unless there's a big election, and then the presidential election will bring more people out, I think, and I think we'll be okay.
Do you think there's going to be some significant spending on the other side of the aisle? Specifically, Sheldon Adelson put $5 million against that campaign last year and seemed to have knocked enough percentage points away to keep it from becoming law.
Yeah, that's probably going to be some challenges there. But I think that overall the people will see the importance of it, and as compared to other types of drugs and the effects and the side effects of most of the drugs. I think they will see through it. I hope they do.
Is this a hot-button topic in your area?
Oh, yes, definitely. We have one of the biggest law firms here that is pushing it, Morgan & Morgan, so it's huge here.
You seeing this a lot on the TV news?
I'm sorry?
Are you seeing this a lot on television news, radio news?
Oh, yeah, the papers in since the session was in, since the House and the Senate was in session, it's been very popular. It's been more popular because people are becoming more aware. A lot of people, a lot of the citizens don't even know what's going on. And now that it's being exposed a little bit, we're getting more and more conversation, and that's a good thing.
Well, it's really an educational process, isn't it?
It is. It is. And information is powerful.
It takes sometimes some money and some time to get that education to kick in, doesn't it?
Well, as a black farmer and agriculturalist, it does. It takes a lot of extra time that we don't have to focus on things like this, but it's worth it, we think.
Florida is a big market for the greenhouse, the hothouse industry, isn't it?
It is.
Yes. Can you give us an idea? I mean, what do you grow? You currently have a nursery?
I do. I have a nursery. I'm a landscape horticulturalist, a plant breeder. I went to school for plant breeding and taught agriculture in the public school system for 20-some years before I retired. Always had a nursery landscape business. Just something I enjoyed doing. That's what I went to college for.
Look, plants are a fun thing. I love plants. I was just outside. I can't walk to the mailbox without stopping and taking pictures of flowers because they're in the spring.
There's some beauty there, man. I mean, when you look at it and you watch the bee that pollinates the plant and it takes one pollen from the other plant and it deposits it, it's just nature in its best form, I think.
Have you always been into gardening?
I have, even as a kid and coming up on a southern farm in Mississippi where we had land, I farmed when I was a little boy. Grandmother and great-grandmother taught me the importance of love of land, smelling the dust that when the rain hit the dust and you can smell it for years, it just stays with you. So I've always been that way, and it's just went on there to college and back to and still in what I love. I love agriculture. I love the outdoors. I love farming. I love nature. So
outside of teaching, have you always made your income from the agriculture industry?
Yes. I have other businesses, but it's basically been everything is centered around agriculture. Everything I've ever done was basically centered around agriculture in some respect. Yeah.
No, there's been a lot of news recently, obviously, Baltimore and some of this unrest happening in places where people of color are being mowed down or abused by police. Do you think that this is going to that subject will will give you guys a little bit of light, shine a little bit of light on your issue? Because I don't know how mainstream or how many other people besides me are out there talking about this.
I'm not really following your question.
Well, I guess, so I guess I'll rephrase it because maybe it wasn't clear. In fact, it obviously wasn't clear. So there's been an underlying condition that has preceded these incidents in Baltimore, in New York, and in Missouri, where, the black culture has been kind of put aside, had been treated differently than the rest of America. That's kind of what the argument is, isn't it?
Yes, I would think so. Oh, yes.
And so I'm just wondering if that shines any light on your situation in Florida, where, again, you've got the same situation in this agricultural industry now.
Oh, hey, speaking from a black man's point of view, it's always been a fight. It's always a struggle. It's nothing. I mean, we just born with that, knowing that it's a struggle. And I mean, even in your life, I'm sure you see that life is not a bed of roses. It's a struggle with anything you go into. But with determination and effort, you'll be successful. And as we try to reach the inner cities where a lot of this is happening, and trying to bridge the gap between the police and the humane thing to do. When you look at agriculture and philosophy, you have to look at humanity. What is humane? Is it humane for me to see someone do something that is wrong and not say something to that is happening? You call it a code blue, or you call it what you want to, but wrong is wrong. And you need to be exposed to what you're wrong. That's humanity. That's being humane.
Well, to use a agricultural term or phrase, rose by any other name is still a rose, right?
It's still a rose. So you call it what it is. I mean, when we see each other, and that's the same thing that goes to the young person that's in the street doing wrong, and his parents know about it, or his partner knows about it and don't call it out. It's the same thing with the police department. When they know their partners have done wrong and not calling it out, that's inhumane.
Do you think there's a big boon? Because here's my other question about this whole idea of just making a medical marijuana law and tying it strictly to high CBD product. Because really, it's just an extract at that point, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct.
Do you think that given this licensing for 400,000 plants, do you think that's a little overkill? It seems to me that you could get enough cannabis extract to treat a lot of people with just a single farm of 400,000 plants, let alone 5.
I think they just reached in the sky and pulled out an answer to what they was trying to come up with. But I don't see any rational or any rational thinking there.
Yeah, because it doesn't seem rational to me. Here's the problem that this would create. If you've got a bunch of guys paying $250,000 apiece simply for the application to become one of the 5 grows that is going to supply this industry, and then they all are growing 400,000 plants, and then they all make a bunch of extract. Now you've got this huge glut of extract, and then the limited number of people that would have access to it, very limited, in fact.
Well, the 400,000 plants is not a requirement. It's just a requirement for you to be able to participate in the licensing.
So you'd have to have a capacity for 400,000 plants of any kind.
Exactly.
So it could be growing pineapples and tomatoes and whatever else you wanted to. Well, not pineapples.
Right. It didn't classify what to grow. It just said you've had the capacity to grow, and you have a license that states that you have capacity to grow that many plants.
Well, that makes a little more sense to me now, because I was concerned that you'd end up with one guy that ended up, or all of them would have this glut of extract on their hands.
No. It's just going to be regulated. No.
So how are they going to determine how many plants would be needed to supply the necessary residents?
It's a lot of unanswered things in that particular contract that we've read over. That you have to have a lawyer to go through that. And some things you don't ask, let it be like it is. You open up a can of worms, and you start asking other questions because it goes from one to the other to the other. So even with the lawyers on board, it's a nightmare.
I see that this issue is probably going to change a lot over the next few years in Florida, even if they pass the medical marijuana law. It seems like there's a lot of change going to happen in Florida.
I think that, once the people are informed, that's the beginning of it. And I think this is what Morgan & Morgan is doing. This is what the Black Farmers and Agriculturalists Association is trying to do. We're trying to make the people aware of what's happening, what your representatives are voting on. Maybe there'll be some changes next year when it's time for election. hopefully somebody's listening.
Listen, a lot of times when the legislature's out of session, they're at home doing coffee appointments and meeting.
They're farmers. A lot of them are farmers receiving subsidies.
Oh, there you go. A lot of them during this off time are at home doing coffee break hours and meeting with their constituents. Do you think this would be a good time to try and engage those legislators so that when they go back to session, whenever that is, that they might have some good information in hand? That's part one of the question. And then
there are those who are sensitive to what is happening.
Okay.
There are those. We've been contacted by some of them. There are those who are very sensitive and very concerned about how this has been done and not taking into consideration the other people that it may affect. So I think there's a time for them to gather their thoughts, let them understand that there are problems, and maybe they come back with something rational. I don't know.
Look, Howard, before we go to break, and we're going to break really quickly here, I wanted to give you the opportunity, because I think this is really important. I imagine there are going to be a number of people listening to this to the podcast after this show goes off the air in Florida. We get a lot of people in Florida paying attention to this. If there are people who are aligned with your way of thinking on this, is there a way that they can contact you and get involved and get politically active and help you out in your endeavor?
Yes. We have a website. You can go to www. Florida Black Farmers and Agriculturalists Association.
All right.
.org.
Now, I went there recently, and it said that it was under construction. There was going to be a new website up soon.
Yes, we are under construction, but you should be able to do that. If not, you can always email me personally at HGUNN, that's Howard Gunn, Jr., Jr., at AOL.com.
One more time for him.
H as in Howard, G as in good, UNNJR at AOL.com.
Howard, thank you so much for coming on the program and helping.
Thank you for the invitation. I appreciate that.
Look, I think it's really important to what you're doing and trying to at least level the playing field for the people who are trying to participate in this already very restricted program.
Yes.
So
thank you. People like you get us out there, get us exposed. And we know this is a movement, and there are people out there that feel just as adamant about this as we do.
Wow. You said it all. Florida Black Farmers and Agriculturists Association President Howard Gunn, Jr., thanks again for coming on the program.
Hey, man, thank you, and have a blessed day.
You as well. More news in medical marijuana and cannabis coming up right here on the Full Melt Show. Don't go away. We'll come back with that next.
You're getting the Full Melt.
Got something to hide? Canalock offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Canalock is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Canalock is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at canalock.com. Visit canalock.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
Each week, Pot Pitch takes a look at different medical or legal pot business as they attempt to seek investment capital and partners in order to take their business to the next level. What do investors like?
And which entrepreneurs are shown the door?
Real venture capitalists, smart entrepreneurs, and exciting business models in a brand new industry, cannabis. Pot Pitch. Find out what this new marijuana industry will look like and who its players will be. Real deals, real people, real decisions. Pot Pitch at potpitch.com and featured on the Full Melt Radio Show.
Imagine a world where patients can use marijuana like any other medicine. The Marijuana Patients Organization challenges the status quo by helping our neighbors to enjoy a better quality of life. Visit the MPO at marijuanapatients.org and enjoy informative articles, engaging debates, and information about treatments, doctors, and dispensaries in your area. Over 50,000 people have registered at marijuanapatients.org since 2010. Join us at the Marijuana Patients Organization today, marijuanapatients.org.
It started with Weed 1.
Some have called it a watershed moment.
Then came Weed 2.
It's absurd that we would have to do this to get medicine.
Now Dr. Sanjay Gupta is at it again, and he's reaching higher than ever with Weed 3.
I never thought I would be smoking weed in the hospital.
The movement behind it.
We demand this plant go through the process of the FDA.
The radical research.
I have to say, I'm kind of stunned.
Weed 3, the marijuana revolution.
They're parasites. They've got no contribution to this society. They're preying on our community and our kids. And it's going to end badly.
We've got exactly $100,000 in cash in the back of this car. I bet there's guys right there in that prison for doing just what we're about to do.
I want the Breckenridge Cannabis Club to be a household name.
This is us pioneering a new industry.
He's going after every resort town in Colorado. His plan is brilliant.
This is a big boy operation now.
We are not the Amsterdam of the Rockies. We're Breckenridge.
Absolutely unbelievable to us that this has happened so quickly.
That's when the town erupted.
All hell can break loose.
I think we have an image to protect.
The powerful elite has definitely put the pressure on.
Everyone is playing everyone.
They're going to have a target painted on their back.
That is a real threat.
There's $2 billion to be had next year. I plan to take more than my fair share.
High Profits, Sunday night at 10 Eastern on CNN. It's the Fullback Radio Show. So we're going to go a little over today, just as a warning, just as a heads up. I had to stop the programming, the automation, a couple of times to accommodate not only that lengthy introduction, but also our guest today. I never, hardly ever do that. Other news. There seems to have been some negative news, but I'm going to skip over that because I don't like negative news. It's not actual news, it's perception. It's about the twist. It's about the angle on the story. I'll give you a quick example, just briefly. Here it is. This is from CBS News. Marijuana far more potent than it used to be. Tests find. Fox 8. This is, I'm not sure which state this is out of, but it's a local story. Growing opposition in Ohio, so that tells you there where it's at. Growing opposition in Ohio to legalizing marijuana. It seems like there's been some changes there. We'll have to follow up with that on a different program. And then another Fox News story. Does medical marijuana work for pets? I want to tell you that we have an advertiser on this program. It's petpain.com. It's for a product called Satibis. And Satibis is a CBD oil, hemp oil, for pets. It's designed for pain or other ailments. For pets, primarily for pain, I guess. I just want to tell you this personal story because, and I can't necessarily attribute it. I just want to say that up front. I've got no scientific methodology by which to confirm this assumption. But I'm a cat guy. I've got a lot of cats. They're all rescues. They're not a lot of them. I'm not like the cat lady. I'm not like putting one in your Halloween bag when you come trick or treating at the door. Here you go. Here's your cat. I'm not one of those guys. I got 3 of them. We run like a pet rescue kind of thing. In the community that I'm in, there's an abundance of cats that get left behind or thrown out when irresponsible pet owners don't get your pet spayed or neutered. Please do that. Get your pet spayed or neutered. And don't buy from the puppy mills or the kitten mills. There are plenty of adoptable animals out there. But as this relates to the pet pain thing, I've got this cat that I adopted. Used to belong to another. He lived in another home for a little while, but then it was a neighbor's home, and then in fact came running to my home and decided that I was this cat's new home. So I didn't adopt the cat so much as the cat adopted me. But I had the cat for about 8-10 months, and then it started developing this terrible mouth bleeding problem, and I still have not been able to figure out its initial cause. I did notice that the cat had some swollen lymph nodes, really bad, like golf ball sized. For a cat, that's huge. Down by his lower legs there, lymph nodes, which usually is an indication in people, at least, of infection. So we took him to the vet, got him some antibiotics. That did not clear things up. And when I'm talking about a mouth bleeding problem, I'm not talking about just a little bit of blood on his lips. I'm talking about full blown, like his throat was cut, but it was coming from out of his mouth. And I couldn't stop it. And he nearly died a few times during this process. I had to actually get help from other people to help me take care of this cat because, it was kind of expensive. But I had to rush him off to the vet several times. We did some blood tests. He's eventually tested negative for feline leukemia and FIV, 2 underlying conditions which could lead to something like this through either a tumor or other things. And so, the blood panel didn't look good on him. He was bleeding really bad, couldn't stop it. Everything we did at the vet on multiple occasions didn't do any good. But this pet pain product, petpain.com, the Satibis, I started using this product because I had a sample bottle of it. And I was putting the drops in the cat's food, as it recommends, except I was putting a much heavier dose of it in there. It's a hemp oil. It's pretty much harmless. It's got a lot of CBD in it, cannabidiol. And I knew that this helped in people. So I gave it a shot with this cat because it was the only thing I had left. Every little thing, all these medications, all these attempts to fix this bleeding problem, to diagnose the bleeding problem, had failed. And I put these drops in not only that cat's food, but the other cats that I care for as well. There's 3 of them. And they all ate their food. I had to do it that way because the one cat was like, oh, I can tell that you put something in here. I'll just nudge the other cat out of the... So I put it in all of them. Oh, this cat immediately stopped bleeding. This happened nearly simultaneously. I started feeding it on 3 days, maybe even a week before the bleeding stopped, but then the bleeding stopped and it hasn't come back. It's been like 45 days. So I'm taking this pet back down to the vet to have another blood panel done on him to see if the blood has changed. But anecdotally, I can at least tell you that this product has worked for me, and I didn't reach out for it as a cure, as a solution, as an end to the problem, just to help mitigate any pain that may be associated with it, because I honestly didn't think that cat was going to make it. I brought it back to the neighbor. In fact, I have him look at the cat and say goodbye, because I didn't think he was going to make it through the night that night. That's been 2 months ago. So there's some good news, but I wanted to play this for you too, because this is live, and I'm going to plug this thing in now. This just happened. I just saw this posted from NORML, and I thought this was a great thing that I should probably play. So I'm going to play this piece for you. This is from NORML. This is called Coming Out Green. They just posted this on YouTube. It's had about 23,000 visits already. Does anyone in your life not know, it says?
My mom. People like my grandparents, my parents.
Some of my professional colleagues probably don't know. It's nothing that I've hidden, but some things just don't come up.
Most people in my life don't know.
Coming here and sharing about this openly could embarrass them.
I'm afraid that people will see me as less professional.
That parents would feel that I'm an irresponsible parent.
Despite it being more and more open, you still try to keep it a secret from your elders.
I didn't want people to judge or think differently of me or my capacity to do my job because of that.
If there's judgment, it's definitely coming from a place of not understanding and thinking in terms of stereotypes.
Loser comes to mind.
Lazy, unproductive, airhead.
That it would ruin your life.
Willing to break the law to have some fun.
Living life without really caring about what life is like.
Are you nervous about being judged?
You know what, I think, or I hope, let me put it that way, I hope that they would see how happy we are and how much we're doing with our lives, and maybe question, like, maybe I should smoke some marijuana. Like maybe that's the thing that's missing.
Key. But let's not talk about it, because marijuana, you know?
My partner has lived for many decades with epilepsy, and once he started using the medicine, he probably had only one seizure in the last 5 years. I mean, how amazing is that?
Cannabis is just one way that helps me unlock a new perspective. And it's helped me connect dots. It's helped me have epiphanies.
Cannabis relaxes me. I tend to be a type A, overachieving type person. It just dampens me down a little bit.
It has inspired me in so many ways that I can't even fathom.
It allows me to be more compassionate, to see things from other people's points of view.
You know, is that weird that I'm all for it and yet I still feel nervous about talking about it?
I'm Dr. Ann Alston.
My name is Mark-Angelo Coppola.
Darina Stoyanova.
Cam Adair.
I'm Adam, and this is the love of my life, Melinda.
Today we are coming out green.
I'm coming out green.
Today I'm coming out green.
And I'm coming out green. Today I'm coming out green.
I'm coming out green.
I'm coming out green.
I hope that we can dispel any negative ideas about cannabis. and if it's something that can benefit us, we need to learn to accept that.
So Green Flower Media put this out.
I firmly believe that on any issue that we care about, it's important that we each take responsibility and speak up, because the voices together, that's how we can make some real noise and really make a shift.
Everybody else is coming out green. Today, I'm coming out Cinco de Mayo. I just had to wish you a happy Cinco de Mayo. For our American heritage, Mexican brethren, and citizens in the United States. I said it before, I'll say it again. I think you should take the alcohol out of Cinco de Mayo and put the marijuana in. I think it would be a better Cinco de Mayo. I don't think that you shouldn't be able to use tequila or some other adult beverage, but I would just rather have the marijuana. It doesn't. Is there a place where I'm going to be able to say the marijuana here? No, they're not going to do it. I did it before. I'm not going to do it again. So that's the end of the program. That's all we really have time for today. Happy Cinco de Mayo to you. Marijuana! You see how it works so much better. I think it does. I think it really does. Stay away from the negative news. Work towards the positive news. Do the positive things in life. Stop trying to battle the devil all the time, because sometimes the devil isn't always what it seems. The devil is really in the details, isn't it? That's what I have to say about it. So hopefully you'll get a chance to join us on tomorrow's program. The bar's coming back up. I got to get rid of that. The tequila thing. Marijuana! More news, information, culture, and lifestyle. Sorry we went over today. For you people who are expecting a 60-minute program. It's now a 68-minute program going on 69. We'll see you tomorrow on The Full Melt Show.
The Full Melt Show is a production of TFM Media.